Lesson 16 is about rounding whole numbers and estimating. This is an important lesson as we go through it because we estimate frequently both inside the classroom and outside the classroom, and we need to be able to round whole numbers accurately in order to do that well. Now our first problem is to round 6,789 to the nearest thousand. And I've made a number line down here, and I put the number 6,000 and 7,000 on here, and we're working with the number 6,789. We want to round it to the nearest thousand. What I'm going to do with this number line is I'm going to put a middle tick mark in here and call this 6,500, because that's halfway between 6,000 and 7,000. Now what we can do is we can take our value of 6,789 and we can put approximately where it is on the graph. 6,789 will be about right here. Now if we want to round 6,789 to the nearest thousand, the question is it closer to 7,000 or is it closer to 6,000? Because those are the closest values that have just the thousands place. Hopefully you said 7,000. It's much closer. We can see the distance from 6,789 to 7,000 using our arrow is a lot shorter. So our answer is going to have to be 7,000. You can always build a number line to help you figure out how to round a problem when it tells you where to round it to. Let's move on to our next slide. Let's round 550 to the nearest hundred. So if we want to do that, we're going to have 500 on the left, because we're going to the nearest hundred, and then we're going to go to 600 on the right, because we're only talking about hundreds. Let's put our middle value in as well, 550. Now if we go ahead and plot this, round 550 to the nearest hundred, we know that it goes right in the middle. Okay, so it's going to be equal distance away from 600 as it is from 500. Now this brings out a special rule. Whenever we have a number that's halfway, exactly halfway, we always round up. So in this problem, if we want to round 550 to the nearest hundred, we round up. We keep going the direction that we have been. So 550 is to the left of 500. It's exactly halfway, so we'll round up to 600. That will be our final answer for this problem. And we're all done with this one. Let's go ahead and move on to our next slide. Let's estimate the sum of 467 and 312. Now if we want to estimate the sum, remember sum, what that means is to add. We're going to add whenever we talk about the sum of a number, or the sum of numbers. We want to estimate the sum of 467 and 312. So we're going to round those numbers. Now 467, is that closer to 400? Or is it closer to 500? You tell me. Hopefully you said 500. It's much closer to 500 than it is to 400. 312. Is that closer to 300? Or is that closer to 400? Hopefully you said 300. It's got to be closer to 300. Now the reason we estimate is so we can quickly get an approximate or close answer. So now we can take our rounded numbers, 500 and 300, add them together because we're finding the sum. 500 plus 300 is going to have to be 800. And we've estimated the sum of 467 and 312. That's not the exact answer, but it's an approximate answer. It's very close to the exact answer, and we got it very quickly after we rounded our numbers. Now the last thing in this lesson is our key vocabulary. And our key vocabulary today is to estimate. And to estimate or an estimate is just a quick way to get an approximate answer. And times when we estimate, if you ever go to the grocery store and you buy something for 99 cents, maybe you buy something else for $1.97, and maybe you buy something else for $1.19. Well, if you wanted to figure out about how much your total is going to be, you could estimate 99 cents, well, $1.97 and $1.19. You're going to estimate the sum by rounding. So let's say 99 cents, that's about $1. $1.97, that's about $2. And $1.19, well, that's about $1. So if we round them and then estimate, we can easily see our grand total is going to be about $4. And when you're shopping at a grocery store, it's a great thing to estimate because there's always going to be tax added on to the end. And unless you can figure that out in your head as well, or you bring around your calculator to the store, well, it's going to be a little bit complicated. So let's estimate when we're at the store, and we're going to use that in our lesson today. We're going to practice this more in our lesson practice, page 79, during our next time in class. Make sure you've got your notes completed, and I'll see you soon.